Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Erica Palmer from HST Pathways, and I'll be moderating the webinar. So what are we going to talk about today? We are in the middle of our welcome session now. We're then going to have a conversation with Blane, who's on the call. He works at the Spine Center of Excellence, and he was able to boost his RCM operational efficiency. So we're going to get into what that looked like. And then again, we save some time for questions at the end, but please feel free to put them in the chat at any time or the Q&A box. So we have a lot of people on the call today who are eager to connect with all of you and answer any of your questions. I mentioned Blane. He's really the star of the show today. He's the CEO at Spine Center of Excellence. We have Carol and Tara on from Serbin Medical Billing, and then myself and Kayla from HST. So just in case you're not familiar, just a little bit about HST. We basically provide a suite of software solutions that have been made just for surgery centers. And we're very blessed to have these solutions in just about 1,600 ASCs across the country. And they really run the gamut from scheduling to charting, inventory billing, and kind of everything in between. And we have the privilege of working with a lot of industry leaders, such as Carol Serbin and her team. So Carol, if you don't mind just spending a minute sharing what you guys do.
Absolutely. However, the story is about Blane's success, so I will be very brief. A little history on the company. I started my RCM company back in 2000 to meet the needs of my ASC development and management company. And actually, it was at the advice of one of my hospital partner CFOs, and I'm pretty grateful that he gave me that advice because it's turned out really well. I think because we started our RCM company because of serving ASC development and management centers, that we're more of a consultative and less of a traditional RCM company, in that we really do take ownership in the entire process and go that extra mile to get you set up just right and act as a consulting arm to help you through some of the difficulties that you navigate. We provide business office policies, front office job descriptions, scheduling, the fee schedule development, and guidance with managed care. So it's a little bit different. We're a small company by design, and we are more, like I said, concierge and like a partnership. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Blane.
So Blane, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at the Spine Center of Excellence?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me to participate today. My name is Blane Uthman. I'm the CEO of the Spine Center of Excellence. We're a very large state-of-the-art de novo spine center that's part of our Louisiana Spine Network, where we have interest in a hospital as well. We have the largest, best recognized spine practice in Louisiana. We pull from 4 states. We do spine all the time. That's all my center's about. Myself, I've been in the operating room in one way or another for 40 years. I like to think that I started in the Army. I started in the Army with a toothbrush cleaning toilets, and now I sign everybody's paycheck. And it's been a very wonderful ride, the last 20 years of which I've been running, expanding, or building de novo facilities. Since 2018, I've brought online 3 separate de novo facilities, including this one. This will be my last one. I'm retiring in the area. But my role is, in addition to just day-to-day operations, obviously, I manage a real estate portfolio, a lot of other aspects of our practice. I'm thankful to be here, and I think that's a little kind of nice synopsis.
Perfect. And when it comes to HST and Serbin, can you tell us a little bit more about the products you're using and then the services that Serbin provides for you?
So I have part of the reason I work with HST and Serbin is full integration is something that's become very important to me. And I use the complete suite of HST products. I use practice management, EMR, every aspect of the complete suite. It provides great integration, both with my accounting, both with my RCM. And then Carol Serbin and Tara Gillen, who are representing Serbin today, I selected them for much the same reason. Is they provide a truly concierge service that is fully integrated with all aspects of my business. And it's been a pleasure having them. Actually had pleasure having both of you on our team here at SE.
Perfect. And what was it that prompted you to decide to outsource your RCM? Because I feel like we get that question a lot. So I'm curious.
It's funny, like I probably imagine a lot of people on this call, you've tried various, and I've had in-house, I've had hybrid, and then I've also outsourced. COVID changed my thoughts on a lot of things. I think like maybe a lot of people, one of my facilities that I was running when COVID hit, we had a 8-member business office. 7 of them were out with COVID, and it was the early period of time with COVID. So people were out forever, it seemed. And the one person that didn't get COVID in my business office didn't know how to do most of the other functions. Obviously, cross-training and other things like that mitigated that moving forward in that setting. But when I decided to take on this de novo build, I learned that I wanted the redundancies that are intrinsic to an RCM team. I don't have to worry about people getting sick. I don't have to worry about people going on vacation. Also, from a standpoint of a de novo, as you all can appreciate, we want to try to run as lean as possible. And for me to replicate the business practices that I have established with Serbin, I would have to have at least 8 FTEs. And y'all can do the math on 8 FTEs, depending on where you live. It's not cheap. Again, I wouldn't have any redundancies. Expertise is another part of it. There's a lot of solutions. I'm sure you've all been bombarded with, hey, we can do your RCM for $2 a case, or whatever the case may be, no pun intended there. And what if you drill into all of that, you'll find that these are people are outside of the country, or people with very little experience. And what I found with RCM is you get what you pay for. Reporting is critical as for everything we do, whether it's for your partnership, whether it's for your regulators, and whether it's for your business operation planning and everything. And the reporting, the end of month reporting I received from Serbin is second to none. Clarity, HST Clarity has helped a lot. It allows us to do all of our free data service screening to make sure that all benefits are appropriate. It also allows a process to allow for upfront collections, that's a very important part of your RCM, is really trying to get that. And then eChart integration with all of the above, HST integration with all aspects of my practice, it helps me every day. I couldn't be happier in that regard.
Great. All right, so let's talk through some of the outcomes. Obviously, you can see some of the numbers and success that you've had here, but can you talk us through some of the outcomes that you've been able to achieve?
I think that it's all of us, we want to get paid for the work we do. And many people will have problems with denials. Most of those denials a lot of times stem from not having proper coding and not having proper documentation, combination thereof. As you can see from the 99.3% clean claim rate, I don't think it's possible to do better. I think that's 0.7%. It's a statistical anomaly that I don't know that we would ever be at 100%, but I will put that metric against anyone that in the industry. Look at our 92% clarity again, speaking back to clarity. 92% upfront collection and everything has been amazing. We, again, are very grateful for that. Then you look at our 1 to 1.3 days average turnaround from submission to payer and days to bill. Again, these are all massive metrics because we're all trying to manage what is our days to AR. And all of this goes to that. If you don't have clean claims, if you don't do your upfront collections, if you don't have quick turnaround times, all of that expands your days to AR in a way that I don't like, and I'm sure most partners don't like. The other part of it is too, is with a de novo, you never, with de novos, first year profitability is not typically an expectation. I've had that where it was very easy. That was a unicorn situation. That was a hybrid with a hospital. This de novo, and considering it's a spine only de novo, we were able to turn a profit in our first year. Part of that is to do with Serbin and their services and everything, but it's also the concierge approach that Serbin provides to its clients, so that what you're able to do is brainstorm and benchmark different ideas. Because of Carol's operational experience, you're able to speak this. If you're an operator, you're able to speak the same language with her and her team, and I think the results are very fruitful. The other thing is that while I negotiate all of my contracts, and I don't believe Carol and her team negotiate contracts, they're a very important partner in the process. And one of the things with Blue Cross, let me back up. One thing that I always do when I look at a de novo opportunity in the pro forma, you really want to make sure that your Medicare is going to be able to float you. It might not give you a big profit or anything, but if you can pay for all your operational expenses, your debt, anything that's applicable with your Medicare, that gives you the latitude you need for contract formation. Because as we all know, payers have gotten very, very difficult to negotiate with. Blue Cross, for example, is about 70% of my book of business. It's by far the largest payer or I should say 70% of my commercial book of business. It's clearly the largest in Louisiana. It took me 8 months to get the contract that I have. And Carol and them were very supportive in that process and very helpful. But only because I had the latitude of understanding my business. I had all these metrics, making sure that I was going to be getting paid in a very short period of time. That allowed us to say, you know what, we're not going to accept the contract until it's the right contract for us. And it is. We were able to get past all the ASC stipulations that many people do based off of Medicare inpatient only lists. We're able to do multiple levels. We're able to do 360s in our facility. It's a massive win for us, and we're starting to exponentially see profitability go month over month. Again, last thing, days to bill were very low. We've gotten down into the 40s now. And one of the things that you have to consider with a spine-only facility when you're looking at your days to AR is even your reliable payer, the Medicare, because most of what you do in a spine center has implant costs associated with it, your Medicare claims fall into the high dollar review strategy. And so that requires an additional turnaround, an additional look and everything that by definition would expand your days to AR. The fact that I have a spine-centric facility with days to AR already in my 40s, I could not be more thrilled.
Thank you, Blane. That's a ton of great info. And just to give a little context to release the State of the Industry report this past November, and we actually looked at some of these metrics we have up here, and especially this 1.3 days turnaround time, the average we're seeing industry-wide is closer to 3.6. So to see 1.3 up here is super impressive. We did have one question come in. How long did the negotiations with Blue Cross take?
The total took about 8 months. And the reason why it took that long is as you start with a gatekeeper person, you go ahead and you apply after you've gotten your CCN numbers, you start applying for your commercial contracts. And admittedly, first time you get to people, it's a pro forma thing. And the numbers that we were provided initially were just that, pro forma, and not acceptable at all. What we finally were able to do, because I have a very unique payer proposition. I can argue to a payer because we have a hospital and we also have an inpatient or outpatient facility in a hospital, which we all know starts from a 30% higher base than our ASCs do. I was able to make a value proposition to these payers, but it took me getting to the C-suite level where people really cared about it. And so because I had time, because I kept saying no, because I was able to articulate a clear value proposition to the payers, ultimately it prevailed. And now we have a partnership with Blue Cross Blue Shield where every 6 months we're going to revisit what we can add to our book of business in terms of lumbar 360s and other cases like that with higher and higher acuity.
Perfect. And one more question for you. I believe this was going back to the slide before. For monthly reporting, do you do anything yourself?
In terms of monthly reporting, obviously I do analysis and manage it, but in terms of the data and the generation of the data, that's what this fully integrated system provides me with. And so all of the data points come to me, how it's utilized and what I do with it. My analysis obviously is secondary, but I am not having to go down and drill into anything. I can, at the end of the month, within maybe 2 days of the close of business, I have end of month reporting that breaks down. I think of Carolyn and May can clarify, I think I have a 15-page end of month report that comes. And so that looks at every possible metric, stratified by every different category and functioning in a way that answers every question. I think we've all been in partners meetings where we're discussing a revenue cycle, and there's a lot of dissatisfaction because of a lot of things we've already talked about. Not only do these metrics make happy partners, but the reporting and clarity of the reporting makes them very happy. They can see what was going on in real time, and I appreciate that.
Hey, Blane, if I could add, I think the success with Blue Cross was, number one, you're extremely patient, and number two is that you had that data and we were able to move it along, because it seemed like they asked for something. Once we got everything, they wanted something else, and I suspect that could be a little bit of stalling, but again, you had the patience to hang in there and get it done.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate when somebody's got such a large economy of scale for what we do. They treat you as a captive, because to some degree you are. But you're absolutely right. And I think one of the things that we can come back to with all this data is, one time, one of my joint commission accreditations, I had an inspector talk to me. She had been chief nurse of the Baylor system before she got into this, had a very wide background. And she said, the one thing that you don't want to be is a drip. And I said, drip? What do you mean? I didn't think I offended you and everything. And she said, no, it's data rich, information poor. And so we all have a lot of data. We don't necessarily have a lot of information. The clear, concise reporting that's provided to me, the integration with HST, both on my front end and my back end, allows me to use information in a way that is powerful.
Perfect. Thank you, Blane and Carol. One last question on this slide. Any specific wow moments that while you were going through this process that really hit home with you?
Yeah, we could all probably think, I could probably think of different ones, but this one is such an obvious one. It jumps off the page. I apologize, I can't remember the name of the hurricane, but unfortunately, Carol,
Ian.
What was it?
Ian.
And if you remember Hurricane Ian's impact on Florida in Fort Myers Beach, it was a direct hit, and there was like absolute devastation. That's where my RCM team is. And so I'm watching this all happening on the news going, wow, I wonder if they're okay. Are we going to be able to have operational viability? What's going to go on with this? And I can actually tell you this is a fact. Tara and I were talking on the phone about next steps and operational viability during the hurricane. And despite everybody losing power and all of that during this massive hurricane and everything, almost unprecedented in that area for sure, we were back online in about 4 days max, where we were already communicating, but all systems, all aspects of what I get from Serbin RCM was back online. And while we're watching these scenes of absolute devastation, people don't have water, nobody's got electricity, I was absolutely gobsmacked and impressed. And that goes to the back end planning that they do for everything. And so to see that type of disaster planning, think about it for our own operations. God forbid something like that. How fast do we really think we could be up and running and everything? And so looking at all of that, if that's not a wow moment, I'm not sure what one is.
Yes, that's super, super impressive. Okay, so have you noticed any positive feedback from your staff due to using our product, HST's products and Serbin services?
Yeah, let's go with HST for a minute. So one thing that the first time I transitioned a company, an ASC to EHR was in 2008 when the Meaningful Use Doctrine came out. And for about 90 days, I don't know about anybody else's experience, my team wanted to stab me in the eye with a pencil. Just give me a piece of paper, just let me do this. The doctors, everybody lost their mind. About 90 days into it, you saw everybody starting to like the efficiency of it. My clinical leadership, nurses doing chart review, all of that for accreditation. It became very clear that EHR was our friend. And so for every de novo I've run, we've started with full EHR integration. And one of the things that my staff, we had to build it. Now, HST is a hell of a partner. They work with you on the front end and back end a lot, but there's a lot of development time that your team has to put into this. And so myself, my nursing leadership, other aspects of my team, we put this together with their support. Now, all of my providers love it. All of my anesthesia providers love it. All of our systems and everything because of the integration. So all of our metrics chart over immediately into our EHR. So blood pressures, any of that kind of stuff, anesthesia metrics populate. And to have all of that for me was great. The staff, after they spent a couple of months really honing, getting the baseline set up, saw how much easier it is. And now that we're, well into our development, when we're doing stuff like chart review, when we're looking at anything from quality, everything's there. And everybody likes it now. But you will always find when you do a transition to EHR is that there's going to be, just like with any organizational change, a little bit of pushback just because people want what they were used to. And it's been a real win for us. I have a rock star PACU manager that serves as my HST coordinator, and it's amazing what she's able to do. And you're able to tailor your blocks and everything in your EHR to your business practice. It's a very good thing. The same thing with my business management team, my business manager, who, let's just digress a little bit. When I was interviewing her, I had already brought Carol and them on team, and they really, with their background, helped me vet my business manager candidates. And I have an excellent business manager. I like to think I had something to do with it, but I think Carol and them also made sure that we were going to be having somebody from the second we were starting forward that was going to be able to do what they need to do. She can't imagine not having EHR integration, Serbin integration. And so that's something they're very positive about.
Perfect. All right, just to wrap things up, how do you envision both of us being long-term partners for you?
I don't think it's a question. You will be long-term partners, and since my de novo is only maybe a year and a half in terms of real operational, I would say that you, by definition, are long-term partners already. But I don't see this being an issue for either. In fact, I look at both HST and Serbin Medical Billing as partners, not vendors.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else you would like to share in our last minute here?
No, let me just digress not digress. Let me just put it back to people that want to ask questions, because I know we don't always have a lot of time for questions on these things.
Yeah, so far we've answered them all as we were going. So we are good on the question front, but to Blaine's point, if anyone else has any questions, please put them in the Q&A box, and you can do it anonymously too, if you prefer.
The other thing that I guess I will say in light of that is I think all of you that are, especially anybody that's an operator, that we could write a book about all of these subjects and everything. You could spend hours really drilling into all of that, which we'll never have time in a forum like this. I'm one of the panel speakers and speaking on a number of things at the Becker's ASC CEO Spine that's coming up in June. If anybody else is there, look me up. I'm happy to answer any questions, or we can just have a drink and talk operations if you want to. Anyway.
Love it. All right, we are right on time here. So thank you everyone so much for coming. And again, oh, we do have a question. How many people are in your business office?
In my business office, including registration and all of that, all of those sort of aspects, 4.
4. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, snuck one in. But again, all of our contact info will be in the email as well. Follow-up questions, find Blane at Becker's. And thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Blane, Tara, Kayla, Carol, and we will talk to you all very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day, y'all.
Bye.